Statements which may cause exception should be placed inside try block. But the statements which may cause exception may also be present in the catch block or in finally block. Namaste everyone, I am Gyan and you are watching the session 12 of Java and Web, Exception Handling in Java. In this video, we will learn about flow of control in try catch finally block. This is a try catch block pair present in a method. Inside try, we have three statements, S1, S2 and S3. And inside the catch block, we have only one statement, S4. XYZ is a type of exception and E is a reference variable of type XYZ. And this is the statement S5. If there is no exception, then the order of execution will be S1, S2, S3 and S5. Since there is no exception in try block, so the catch block will not execute. But if there is an exception in S2, then the order of exception will be S1. In S2 there is an exception, so the statement S3 does not execute and the control goes into the catch block, where it executes S4 and finally it executes S5. So the overall statements to execute in this case is S1, S4 and S5. If there is an exception at S4 or S5, these two statements may also cause exceptions. If there is an exception in these two statements, then there will be abnormal termination of the program because these two statements are not under the try block. If an exception occurs in these three statements, then these three statements are in the try block and for this try block we have a catch block. But if an exception occurs at the statement S4, then we do not have any try catch pair to handle the exception at the S4. And if an exception occurs at the statement S5, then also we do not have any try catch pair to handle the exception at the S5. Here in this case, we have the Java file first.java which contains the class first. Inside the method main of the class first, we have a try catch block pair. Inside the try block, we have the statement 8 divided by 0, which cause an arithmetic exception. And inside the parenthesis of the catch block, we have the reference variable E of type arithmetic exception. So the reference of the class arithmetic exception gets generated in the try block, stored in the reference variable E. And then execution of the catch block starts. It prints the string catch1. But thereafter there is a statement in the catch block which causes an arithmetic exception once again. And for this statement we do not have any try catch block pair to handle this exception. The statement itself inside the catch block. But for this statement we do not have any try catch block pair. So this exception is not going to be handled by our code. There is no handling code for this exception. So after this statement the program terminates abnormally. Let me try this code practically. Open first.java and this is the same code as we have seen. Let's try to compile this code. Java C first.java. It compiles fine. Now run it. Java first. It prints the string catch1 and then after the default handler gets called, which is printing the following output. Exception in thread main. The name of the exception java.lang.arithmetic exception, description of exception division by 0 and the method which caused the exception. Let me make some changes in this code. Let's put the statement which caused exception inside the catch block in another pair of try catch blocks. Put the statement inside the try block. Write here try and put the statement inside try block. Then write here catch, name of the exception, create a reference variable of the exception which you want to catch, arithmetic exception, and the name of the reference variable will be E. You can name it anything else. You can name it O. It does not matter. Then right here catch block. Inside the catch block print a statement and right here catch catch. Right here catch catch. Save and compile this code. Clear the screen. Java C first.java. It compiles fine. Now run it. Java first. it runs fine, and at this time it is also printing catch. That means if an exception occurs at this statement, then here we have the handling code. So a try catch is present inside the catch body. This one is the outer try catch and this one is the inner try catch present inside the catch body. The try catch may also present in the try body or finally body. Here we have the all try catch and finally blocks. If there is no exception, then order of execution will be S1, S2, S3. Since there is no exception, so the statement S4 will not execute and it will execute the statement S5, then S6. So overall order of the execution is S1, S2, S3, S5 and S6. If there is an exception at S2, then the order of the execution will be, first it will execute S1, then after S2 and S3 will not be executed. Since there is an exception at the statement S2, so the catch block will be executed. It will execute the statement S4 and finally anyhow is going to execute. So it will execute the statements in the order S1, S4, S5 and S6. If there is an exception at S4, S5 and S6, then in these three statements we are not handling the exception. So there will be abnormal termination. If there is an exception at the statement S4, then also the finally block will execute. Means the statement S5 inside the finally block will execute anyhow. Does not matter if the exception occurs inside the try block or the exception occurs inside the catch block. The statement S5 inside the finally block will execute anyhow. If you want to check it practically, then just use system.out.println statements and check the flow of control, the order of execution in try catch finally blocks. If there is no execution in this case, then the order of execution will be, first it will execute S1, S2 and S3, then the control will be entered into the block of try, the try inside the try. After that it will execute the statements S4, S5 and S6. Since there is no exception in this inner try block, so the inner catch block will not execute. And the control comes in inner finally block and it prints the statement S8. After that it prints the statement S9. So inside the outer try, the statements which got executed are S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, S6, S8 and S9. And since there is no exception in the outer try block, so the outer catch block does not execute. That's how the statement S10 does not execute. It executes the statement S11 because the finally block of the outer try block anyhow has to execute. Since it does not matter the exception occurs in the outer try block or not, the outer finally block has to be executed. And finally, it executes the statement S12. So overall this code will execute the statements S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, S6, S8, S9, S11 and S12. If there is an exception at the statement S2, then the order of execution will be, we are in the outer try block and in the outer try block we got an exception. So rest of the outer try block will not be executed and the catch block corresponding to the outer try block will execute. Finally block of the outer try block has to be executed anyhow. So the order of execution of statements will be S1, S10, S11 and S12. Because after getting an exception at the statement S2, the rest of the body of try block, the outer try block, has not get executed. And since exception occurs in the outer try block, so the catch block corresponding to outer try block has to execute, finally anyhow has to execute. If there is an exception at the statement S5, means here, then the order of execution will be, first the statement S1 will execute, then the statement S2 will execute, then S3 will execute, then after the statement S4 will execute, and we have an exception at the statement S5. Since the exception occurs at the inner try block, so rest of the body of the inner try block will not execute. That's how after the statement S4, the catch block corresponding to the inner try block has to be executed. So the statement S7 executes. Does not matter the exception occurs in the inner try block or not. The finally block corresponding to the inner try block has to be executed. So the statement S8 also executes. And statement S9 has to be executed. Since the statement S9 is a part of the outer try block and it has nothing to do with the inner try catch finally. So the statement S9 executes. Since there is no exception in the try block, the exception occurs inside the inner try block, not inside the outer try block. And internally inside the try block, the exception occurs at the S5 has been handled. So even if the exception at the S5 occurs, it is considered as the exception in the outer try block never happened. And since the exception in the outer try block never happened, so the corresponding catch block of the outer try block never execute. Does not matter the exception occurs in the outer try block or not, the finally block corresponding to outer try block has to be executed, and the statement S11 will execute. Finally, it will execute the statement S12. That's all for this video, guys. Don't forget to like and share this video, subscribe my channel on YouTube, like my page on Facebook, and leave your valuable comments in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.